It's the Friday News Roundup. We're talking about how over half of the SEPTA regional rail cars were deemed unsafe, the effects of the federal government shutdown on Philadelphians, and the quote-unquote hit list at the Register of Wills office that is costing taxpayers thousands. It's Friday, October 3rd. I'm Abby Fritz, filling in for Trinae Nuri, and here's what Philly's talking about. Executive producer Matt Katz, hey, thanks for being on the show with me today.
Thanks, Abby. Thanks for filling in for Trinae, who's getting a few well-deserved days off for her birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday, Trinae. I bet she's having a great time.
Yeah, happy birthday, Trinae. But the news doesn't stop, Abby, so we have to soldier on.
Not only has there been some big news in Philly this week, but also nationally, we've had a lot going on, and it is touching us directly. I'm sure most of us know that on Wednesday, the federal government didn't pass a bill that would fund the country. Sound familiar, Matt? Wink, wink, PA.
Yeah, we still don't have a budget in Pennsylvania. It was due July 1st. No budget and really no talk of an imminent deal. So we are in a situation where we don't have a state budget nor a federal budget.
So the federal government has shut down, and that kind of has some trickle-down effects to places all across the country. And there's a lot of politics involved in why this happened. But what we care about right now is what this means for Philly. So I read an article from Billy Penn. There are 32,000 federal employees that work in the city. And during a government shutdown, many of these employees are either going to be furloughed or they just have to work without getting paid, which sounds crazy. All the different departments of the federal government have different ways of dealing with the shutdown. So we're going to go through what a couple are doing as of right now. On Wednesday, Independence National Historic Park, which is the Liberty Bell and Independence Hall, announced that it's going to be closing during the shutdown, so you're not going to be able to go there at all. The National Park Service is leaving anything that doesn't require staff open, so park roads or outdoor memorials, you can go see those, but anything that they need staff on site for is not going to be happening.
So no Liberty Bell.
Yeah, nothing like that. Nothing with a guide, nothing where they need people. And half of the staff is being furloughed.
So I think you don't get paid when you're furloughed, right?
Yeah, it basically is just a temporary time off. Another federal agency that I think a lot of people think about when the government shuts down is air travel. So the Federal Aviation Administration. We've got the Philadelphia airport here, PHL, and it technically won't be affected in terms of there's not going to be flight delays, there's not going to be less flights, anything like that, but they will have deferred pay. So they're not getting a paycheck for the work, and that just goes until the government shutdown ends, which is crazy.
And you can't drive an Uber to make it cash during that time because you have to be at work. So you're just working for free.
Yes, literally. You're just working and you're one day the money will come. But you still have to pay your rent. You still have to pay your bills. You still have to, get dinner and put food on the table. So it really will directly impact the pockets of many people in Philly, especially those getting deferred payment. And with the deferred payment too, like you said, Matt, you still have to work. But if you're furloughed, you can apply for services like unemployment and stuff. But those things take time. And also those agencies are probably being impacted by this government shutdown. So by the time maybe the government is open again, your request might have not even been processed. So it is very hard for folks who are dealing with this directly to navigate it. On the positive side, Medicare and Medicaid shouldn't be directly affected. There might be some increases in delays, but all the services will continue. Same with SNAP or food stamps. Those will be running the same. And Social Security and the U.S. Postal Service, those are all considered essential workers, so they will be continuing as usual. But a lot of people in the federal government are still getting paychecks, including the congresspeople who did not pass this bill, which is causing this to happen. But our Philly Congressman, Dwight Evans, is refusing pay during the shutdown. So shout out to him. That's a nice, stand in solidarity with some of these other people who are going to have to be dealing with no pay right now.
Yeah, it's a gesture for sure.
And this just scratches the surface, but we're going to keep an eye on it and see how it continues to affect Philly as long as the government remains shut down.
Yeah, because things could certainly get worse and there could be more workers affected. And the trickle-down effects, I mean, people who aren't getting paid then can't pay people that they hire, and then the whole economy is affected.
Absolutely, absolutely.
You know, Abby, and in another example of how national news, national politics just continues to, seep into the conversations and the lives of people in the city, one of the most powerful, unelected people in Philly just resigned several positions this week because of comments that he made about Gaza. Mohammed Rushdie, goes by Mo, was until this week the president of the very powerful, influential Building Industry Association. And that group, on its surface, just represents residential developers in the city. But Mo is very tight with Sherelle Parker. He was on her transition team when she was elected mayor. He actually helped get her elected because he was involved in a super PAC during her campaign that went after her more progressive challenger, Helen Gim. And since Parker became mayor, Mo Rushdie's been involved in developing Parker's housing policy, which is her signature issue. He actually lives in New Jersey, but he's very active in building and in construction in Kensington and Port Richmond. Anyway, it was nothing about Philly that landed him in controversial waters. It was this comment he made about Gaza that actually happened at City Council a couple of weeks ago. So, City Council is supposed to be dealing with things only related to Philly, but sometimes there's resolutions about national stuff. There's people get up and can talk about whatever they want. So he got up and he addressed the council president and council members. This was a couple of weeks ago. And here's the bit that he said that caused so much controversy.
Council president and council members, when you put your foot on someone's neck for 8 decades, events like October 7th happen. 2 years, 63,000 people dead, half of which are women and children.
And when he said this, Matt, was he representing that? Was he representing himself, the developers?
Great point. No, he was not. He actually said, in fact, I am not representing any other groups here. I'm speaking on behalf of myself.
Okay. Interesting.
But it nonetheless caused such furor among the developers that he represents because he is, a prominent figure in this world, and it's hard to disassociate him from this BIA. So some of the developers said that his statement seemed to indicate that the innocent Israeli civilians who were raped and murdered and kidnapped on October 7th, 2023, deserved it. That was the perception of some people who heard what he said. And at first, the Building Industry Association's executive committee apologized for his comments, but that did not quell the uproar. He told the Inquirer this week that, yes, the attacks on October 7th were indeed an atrocity, but he defended himself from any accusations of anti-Semitism. He said he was criticizing Israel, not Jewish people, but he nonetheless resigned under pressure. And he also stepped down from 2 other boards, from the Philadelphia Police Foundation and the Police Athletic League. So, it'll be interesting to see if Mo Rushdie kind of steps back away from the spotlight now that this has happened, or if this just means he will be spending some time away as what's happening in the Middle East continues to go on, and we'll see if he can return as a major player in the city and really in the administration itself.
Yeah, he was such a front-facing figure, so it is interesting to see him take a step back. All right, we'll be back after this quick break. The controversies just keep rolling in Philly this week. Matt, one particular story caught your eye. Tell me about it.
Oh my God, this is the kind of story that when I see this headline, I will jump and read everything because it it's so juicy, and also just affirms everybody's deep suspicions about how city government works, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So once again, our city government is proving it's not what you know or how good you are at what you do, but who you know. So Abby, do you know what the Philadelphia Register of Wills is?
I vaguely know, but I do feel like a reminder would be nice, Matt.
So it is an elected position, but it does things that in other local governments are not functions of elected officials. So this office, led by an elected person, issues marriage licenses, they handle wills, they maintain records for orphans court. So a series of paperwork duties, important paperwork duties.
Okay.
The current Register of Wills, elected in 2023, is John Sabatina Sr. And the Inquirer reported this week that Sabatina had been keeping an internal list of employees that he was planning to fire. It's now being called a hit list, and it was allegedly made up of employees in his city office who did not support his election campaign in 2023. And how do we know that this list exists? 17 employees have sued the city since Sabatina came into office just last year, saying they were on the hit list. I mean, there's only 100 people in this office.
Oh my God. Also, if that many people found out about it, like, I mean, his first problem was he wrote it down. Why did you write it down?
Right. And these employees who got fired, they've sued the city and won. So far, these lawsuits for being terminated have cost city taxpayers, have cost you and I $700,000 so far.
Oh my God.
Right. And the craziest thing is this happened before. Sabatina actually replaced a woman who was doing the same thing, the former Register of Wills, Tracy Gordon. And when he ran against her, he said he wanted to, sorry, I can't say this with a straight face. He said he wanted to restore public trust in the office. So that didn't work out. Public trust has not been restored. Register of Wills, Sabatina.
You don't hear a ton about the Register of Wills, so to hear this much, it's like very, very going the opposite direction.
Yeah, if they're in the news, it's probably a bad sign. So his predecessor, Tracy Gordon, she has 4 legal settlements related to her doing basically the same thing, and that has cost us $400,000. These were people she had fired who didn't support her reelection campaign. So we're now talking over $1 million because of the way this office operates. And I say the way this office operates is, get this, before Gordon, before Sabatina, the office was run by a guy for 40 years, Ronald Donatucci, who, according to the Inquirer, quote, doled out jobs to people with the right connections, committee people, that's like Democratic city committee people, campaign donors, and that ward leader who's married to the daughter of a South Philly politician. So this is the way it works there. It's incredible. The Inquirer called the Register of Wills office a time-honored patronage den, and that's exactly, I guess, what it is.
I wonder if maybe because it's like not one of those sexy elected official positions that they've been able to kind of fall under the radar for a long time and get away with these types of practices. But it doesn't seem like that's happening anymore. We've caught on.
I mean, it does seem like that's why they've been able to get away with this. I mean, you know what would fix this problem, potentially, is just not having the Register of Wills run for office, because all of these people, the loyalty test that you apparently needed to prove that in order to keep your job was just supporting the boss's reelection campaign. If there's no reelection campaign, because there's no campaign, because it's not an elected position, then it probably would solve the problem. And that's exactly what the good government group, the Committee of 70, that's what they've recommended. They say this office plus the sheriff's office, which we've talked about, they have their own problems, and the city commissioners who run the elections. Committee of 70 says all these offices should be abolished and their duties should be absorbed by the city or the courts. Pennsylvania Intergovernmental Cooperation Authority, which is the city's fiscal watchdog, they also say that city council and Mayor Parker should abolish this office. But so far, neither city council nor the mayor seem interested in abolishing any offices or any elected positions or any, to be frank, fellow Democratic elected officials who hold these offices. So meanwhile, we're paying out settlements to people by the millions, and it's just kind of nuts.
Wow, it's, not like we could use the money anywhere else.
Yeah, right. Exactly. It's not like our public transit system faces continued existential crisis or the many other things that the city needs. I was going to go into the schools, but I didn't want to get,
Another
too
rabbit
heated
hole.
about that. Yeah, rather rabbit hole. And I ranted about lack of school funding last week, so I'll leave that there. What were you reading about this week, Abby? Anything getting your goat?
Yeah, Matt, SEPTA is back in the news again. On Wednesday, the National Transportation Safety Board called on the agency to suspend over half of its fleet. So that's the NTSB. They determined that there is an unacceptable risk of fires for a large part of the regional rail fleet that's in use right now. There's been like 5 fires on the regional rail cars since the beginning of the year, and NTSB started an investigation into SEPTA back in February when one of these rail cars was destroyed in a fire. The latest fire was last week, so this has been an ongoing issue. The culprits have been cars from the Silver Line 4 fleet, which have been around since the 1970s, and technically, NTSB can't force SEPTA to make these upgrades, but they're compelling SEPTA to make a plan within the next 30 days to get these off the tracks. So the NTSB, which is regulated by the Federal Railroad Administration, is not a board to shy away from. When they make a suggestion, it's generally really heated in the transportation industry. So the general manager of SEPTA said in a news conference that he was very surprised by their findings, but, quote, wouldn't put a car out there that won't pass our inspection process. But it sounds like SEPTA is going to keep these cars in service. They are going to take more steps to monitor them regularly. So one way they're doing that is adding inspectors to stations to check for any warning lights, which is significant because 2 cases recently where these lights were ignored ended up leading to a fire. So they're hoping that will help curb it. SEPTA's already had a tumultuous year in terms of funding. We still don't have a state budget, and the agency did end up getting funded, but it's using the funds that would have gone towards repairs. So instead of repairing things, they're using it for operational use. So when things like this come up, when upgrades aren't just wanted, but they're needed, SEPTA could be in a pinch. So we're going to keep an eye out if the agency is able to find funds to upgrade these cars, or if these new steps they're putting in place to monitor the old, aging rail cars will be enough to curb the fires and other safety concerns. All right, we'll be back after this break. All right, Matt, we're almost to the weekend. What are you doing?
Headed out to the Man on Saturday. Going to see the jam band Goose, who I've heard a lot about, but have never seen. So if anybody's out there, come look for me. Although I think a lot of people might be distracted on Saturday with the Phillies. The first game of the National League Division Series is on Saturday. I looked up tickets just for shits and giggles. $272 per standing room only ticket. How about that?
Oh God, that's crazy.
And that's the first game of the playoffs. It is theoretically, hopefully for Phillies fans, going to be many more games of the playoffs. So that's a good amount of money. One good news for Phillies fans, if you can't afford the tickets, you can watch at home and you could possibly watch a World Series winner because MLB The Show, the video game, my son's favorite video game, actually. It's just the baseball video game. They simulated the whole postseason with all the teams that are in the postseason, right? I like basically had the computer do it, and it showed that the Phillies will win the World Series against the Red Sox.
Oh my God. Don't jinx it though. You can't say things like that. And I don't want to put anything out there that knock on wood. Find some wood to knock on.
Last year, MLB The Show correctly simulated the entire National League side of the postseason. So,
well, big sports weekend. Eagles are playing on Sunday at the Link as well. We'll see if they make it 5-0.
Yep. Undefeated, baby. Here we go.
Woo! I've got rugby Saturday, but honestly, the highlight of my week was that Monday was National Coffee Day, and Siani reminded me in the newsletter that I could get a free coffee at Lachlan, which I love free stuff. I thrive when there's a free thing I can get. It can be totally out of the way. It doesn't matter. I love it. So that just made my whole week, honestly.
As
So thanks,
long as
Yanni.
it's free, even if it's like
Even I have to
nothing,
drive 60 miles
just
for it,
jazz you
and
up.
yeah, it scratches the itch or whatever. But unfortunately, I had a great high with my free coffee, but then also realized that a couple Starbucks are being shut down in the city this week. 6 to be exact. The locations at 12th Street and Walnut, Broad and Spring Garden, 20th and Market, 18th and Spruce, 16th and Market, and the pickup at 17th and Chestnut are being eliminated, which is like a lot of those locations are very centralized and I feel like highly trafficked.
I mean, the 18th and Spruce location, for those who remember the big Starbucks controversy from a few years ago when they kicked out 2 black men who were having a business meeting in there for not like ordering in time, became a whole like national controversy.
Yeah.
That's a very busy one, and that's getting closed too, huh? Wow.
Yeah, it's not just us. It's not anything Philly did. It's a national thing. They're closing 1% of the stores, and they laid off about 900 employees across the company. So it's sad to see. I'm sure my mom will be very disappointed. She loves Starbucks, but I've always been more of a specialty coffee girl myself. And if you need a new go-to coffee place, we did do a whole episode about the best coffee shops in Philly. So we'll have that link in the show notes. You can check it out. I am going to ride the coffee high I still have from Monday, and I hopefully going to go to the Pennsylvania Chocolate and Coffee Festival that's happening this weekend.
Oh.
It's out in Oaks, so it's a little outside of the city, but it's only $16 for general admission, which sounds so cool. And there's like latte art demonstrations, there's tastings of both coffee and chocolate. So like,
oh my
come
God,
on.
you can get
That's
so
great.
caffeinated at that thing. You could just run
I'll be
home
like,
from Oaks.
Exactly. Or you could run to Roxtoberfest, which I was going to try to hit on the way back. Out in Roxborough on Saturday, they have their annual, it's like a Oktoberfest spinoff, Roxtoberfest, get it? So lots of beer. So you can come caffeinated to get all your beer. There's also food trucks, live music, artists, local makers and stuff lining Leverington Avenue and Lyceum Street. It's going to be all around there. So that sounds fun too. And that's pay as you go, so no admission fee. Go check it out.
There's so many festivals going on all over the city this weekend. Actually, all through October. We had our October events guide. That episode dropped Wednesday. So folks should check that out because we are experiencing an unbelievable surge in just shit to do in town, man. It's amazing. And it's still nice to be outside. So hope folks get to enjoy Philadelphia this weekend.
Yeah, it's like the perfect season right now. It's like mild. It's going to be mild weather. It still can walk around. So enjoy it while we can before it gets cold.
Totally.
Before I let you go, we have to do some CityCast Philly neighbor shout outs. You too can join us and become a neighbor and shout out one of your favorite businesses. This is just one of the perks that you get if you become a neighbor. So go to membership.citycast.fm to find out more about our program. We're also hoping to do some more events in the near future. So that could be something if you want to sign up. But for now, we've got a recommendation from neighbor Thomas B. He says to stop what you're doing and make reservations at Sow. You will not be disappointed. Do you know what Sow is, Matt?
Is that the new oyster bar from the Mon folks?
Yes, and it's over in East Passyunk. I passed it the other day and was like, oh, I wonder what that is. That's what it is. It's Sow. So
we got to check it out.
Thanks, Thomas. You'll definitely catch me there sometime soon. All right. Well, thanks for chatting with me today, Matt.
Thanks, Abby. Have a great weekend.
And that's a wrap for this week on CityCast Philly. Our executive producer is Matt Katz, and our producer is me, Abby Fritz, and Zoe Colkin. Our Hey Philly newsletter editors are Siani Colon, Natalie Rivera, and Selena Say Reynolds. And our host is Trinae Nuri. Music is by Philly's own Interminable, with additional music from All the Kimonos. If you enjoyed the show, go tell someone. Tell your bestie. Rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our morning newsletter, Hey Philly. We're going to be back Monday morning with more news from around the city. Have a great weekend and be safe, everyone. Bye.